Welcome to Tradespoon and Yellow Tunnel. My name is Vlad Karpel. I'm CEO and founder of both companies, and today we're going to have a live trading room open to trade stock and options using our technology. Before we begin, let me know if you guys can hear me and see my screen. We'll begin shortly after. Well, John, yeah, the schedule should be part of the Elite. If you go to Elite, the homepage of the Elite subscription, I'll show you. Well, first, let's start. Let's start, and then I'll answer this question. Faust, good morning. Bill, good morning. Michael, sound is good. All right, guys. Then I think we can start. Welcome to Tradespoon and Yellow Tunnel. My name is Vlad Karpel. I'm CEO and founder of both companies, and today we're going to have a live trading room open to trade stock and options using our technology. For those of you who are new, welcome. If this is your first live event, do me a favor, type in first. Always want to welcome new subscribers. Disclosures are very important. Please read them. Trading stock and options involve risk and not suitable for everyone. You must be aware of the risk and be willing to accept it in order to invest in current market conditions. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not registered with FINRA nor SEC. I'm showing you what I do in my own account based on my own risk tolerance level for general education information purposes only. Please consult your financial advisor prior to making any trading decision. Also, should not be assumed that the future trade will be profitable or equal past performance. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody for participating. If this is your first event, type in first. If you're a returning subscriber, appreciate your time. You guys making my job easier. In terms of trading psychology, again, very important to have a trading plan in writing and keep a journal in writing, right? And not typing, kind of, like the good old days, pen and pencil, or pen, paper. Paper, and you write down, your thoughts, why you want to trade, your feelings. After you enter the trade, go over risk management. How many shares can you afford? What your target gain? What your stop losses are? Right. I mean, you have different checklists. Like I usually put, liquidity. Does the option trades in nickels or pennies? Right. Very rarely do I trade options that don't trade in pennies. Kingmaker, I'm gonna mute you. Okay. All right. So so what was I talking about? Yeah. So we have it in writing. So checklist like. Liquid options, right? If they trade in pennies, okay, you can trade. If they don't trade in pennies, you just don't trade. Or stock under 1 million shares, right? I prefer not to trade options on stock under $1 million. Or I have a rule because I have 10,000. Most people have $10,000 portfolio. One of my rules is to have if I trade options, stocks, under $100, $150, right? Not trade $400 stocks, $300 stocks, because each contract, it doesn't matter if it's put or call, it's $30,000, average account $10,000. I think that's too much risk that you're taking, irrelevant of what the option price is. Second one is negative visualization, positive visualization. I think, from my perspective, the most important skill for any trader is to determine position size that's appropriate for your own account, right? There were a few questions yesterday in the support that talked about UNH, right? We did UNH and Elite subscription, right? So Profit Accelerator, you can see this UNH, you can see the same trade in Elite. Yes, there will be leading strategy once the closing time morning. So John, to answer your question, so on getting started, if you're part of Elite subscription, gives you explanation of the membership and and closing bell and morning bell for Scott's schedule. So the question was on UNH, right? So I did have 2 orders. Symbol UNH. You can see the same in Elite Circle. The question is, I have a second order. So do I wait for 510 or do I exit out at 490, right? And how do I know whether to wait or not? So first of all, orders and positions can tell you. If you see that order has been filled, but I still have a position, that means, I'm not completely out of the trade. If you see multiple trades, then yes, I do have position left. Do you want to wait for 510 or not? Again, it all depends on the trading plan. You can't have a universal answer. One answer, you can just follow me. I have 510. You get out of 510. But some people might get out at 490. Some people want to get out at 520. It depends on your trading plan, and there's no universal trading plan, right? Based on your risk tolerance level, your experience, how much exposure you have to the stock, how much exposure do you have to healthcare, you might decide to stay longer, or you might decide to leave earlier, right? I have XLV option spread, which is kind of correlated to UNH, highly correlated to UNH. So there are different parameters. I tried to explain it in trading recordings, but again, there is no universal answer. It needs to depend on your trading plan. In terms of trading plan, I propose, again, the magic rule is, if you need to trade, if you ask him questions about whether I should get out of the trade or not get out of the trade, or slippage, then you probably don't have a solid trading plan, right? Or something that you've been executing for months. So if that's the answer, then I propose 4 active positions at a time, no more than 2.5% account value. As long as you follow this rule, you can stay in UNH, right? You only have 4 positions. You're not down 2.5%. Okay, close half a position and wait for the other half. If you have 8 positions and you're down more than 5%, then you probably can't stay in UNH, right? So I think the trading plan, and the answer is 4 active positions at a time, no more than 2.5% account value per position. How do you determine that? Spiders continues to trade higher. It clearly broke through the 444 level. This is a new line in the sand, right? As long as we're above 444, you don't really know how far the market can go higher, right? Especially as we have earnings season, we have Fed decision next week, so more and more information. But you can be a bull or you can be a bear. That's irrelevant. As long as the market above 444, higher highs and higher lows are the pattern, right? Okay, so that's your support number 1, right? I mean, we could end up here by end of the day, right? It's 2%. I mean, you have to have some kind of big news to drop 2%. So, but maybe a couple days. So that's your support number 1. You can go into let me just change the streaming live stream. Perfect. Tom, welcome. So, in terms of stock forecast toolbox, you can see that in terms of support and resistance for today, 451 model sees 456 is overhead resistance. So if you're doing day trading and you're thinking about entering position today, 451 would be your first support, right? I agree with the model. We spent here 4 days, finally broke above that on the earnings season. So 451, your support number 1 for day trading. If you hold in position for a couple days or a couple weeks, the line in the sand is 444, right? And then, this uptrend channel, support number 3. So as long as we're above support number 2, the next level that we are targeting is 460, right? April, March high of last year. So if you don't like day trading, making decision every day, I mean, if you want to enter a trade, I would go long. I would wait for 451. I would not chase it at 455. because 451 and 455, that's 1% difference, right? If you can save 1% or even 0.5% on entry and the exit, overall, you will make, it makes a huge impact on your buying power. So support number 1, 451, I mean, that's probably 1%, right? So 4 points. So risk, stop loss. So if you're doing day trading, I would put 4 points as your risk. If you're looking at support number 2, 444, that's 2%, right? 10, let's call it 10 points, 2%. And then if you don't, if you're thinking about the long term, right, long months, quarters, 436, right, 436, 434. Let's call it 20 points. So that's your risk, and based on your personality, right? But that's a lot of it is psychology. Some people love to, make, scalping every day. Okay, so your risk is 1%. Some people like weekly, swing trading, momentum trading. Okay, 10 points. Some people like more of a long-term, steady investing. Okay, 20 points, right? Those are your stop levels. In any case, you don't on $10,000 portfolio. I propose not to risk more than $250. Right? Position size is important. 2.5%. Personally, going back to UNH example, I always split the trade into at least 2, sometimes more. If it's longer term, if I want to hold it for a very long time and I have a strong conviction of long term, okay, like TLT, I have more than 2. But these short-term trades like UNH, Dropbox that I did last week, it's $250, right? 2.5%. So 4 points, if you're trading 4 points, that's day trading 60 points. Still $250 because you need $25,000 portfolio, 1% risk for day trading, less than 1%. Some people do 0.5%, some people do 1%, fine. If you do 10 points, 250, that's 25 shares, right? If you're doing 20 points, that's 12 shares, right? That's how you determine position size. I would write it down, and then at the end of the trade, I would grade myself. A and B, if I follow no more than 4 positions, 2.5%. And C and D, if, most common mistake we all do, including myself, I'm buying 60 shares at 4 points, at 3 shares, and then when it breaks 444, I'm basically convinced that it's 444 is going to hold, and then all of a sudden it drops 10 points times 60 shares now, right? Not to break this rule. And if you break it, self-awareness and right, emotional intelligence is important, right? Breathing exercise is important. Make sure that you're always kind of review your trade, and it's important. All right, after that, earnings. So Schwab continues to go higher. So we had USB down about 2%. We had strong rally inside of regional bank. A lot of regional banks announced earnings. So we have USBs down 2%, Western Alliance down 3%, Goldman Sachs is down 0.5% after the earnings. Then we have oil, energy, starting announcing earnings today. So we have reaction in Baker Hughes. Let's see, it was down pre-market. I'm not sure where it is now. Slightly down, nothing major. We had a very strong rally, so that makes sense. And then Halliburton. Halliburton is previous low, down 3%. So kind of rolling over on the earnings news. And in terms of regional banks, MTB, one of the better stock, it was up, I think, 4% pre-market. Looks like it's holding on to its gain. One of the stronger regional bank, up 4%. and then one of the weaker CFG. So mixed carry, flat today, flat, slightly higher, 0.5%. UNH is up 2.5%. I think I'm out of the positions. You can see it both on Profit Accelerator, Elite Trading Circle. So I'm out, 510. So I got filled at 510 on UNH. All right, those are the earnings. So Goldman Sachs is turning positive, USB is slightly down, Western Alliance down 1%, and regional banks are up 0.5%. Spiders up 30 basis points, QQQ up 30 basis points, Dow Jones up 0.5%. What else is interesting? It's all about interest rates, right? I would pay attention to interest rates. It looks like for now, new correlation, right? TLT continues to go higher from 99 to 102, and QQQ continues to go higher, right? Kind of a divergence from what it's been since March, right? Instead of recession, now we're back to fear and inflation. Personally, I don't think it's gonna hold for too long. Either TLT gonna drop to 99, or QQQ is going to start dropping. But I can't imagine people buying both treasury and technology for too long. Right? So I would pay attention to that. And dollar, right? We talked about dollar. It looks like it's building a base. Again, as long as it's below 101, bulls are in control, right? Especially if there's a wave B, right? This is a very strong wave A. Or 1, 2, 3, you might have 4 and 5. If you have 4 and 5, or 2 and 3, then market will continue to rally. I mean, we have ECB decision, we have Fed decision next week, so we'll have more clarity in interest rates and currencies next week. Until then, small caps continue to rally, 80 basis points. ARK is up 2%. And XOP is up. China rebounding after yesterday's pullback. Let's see. What else is interesting? Home builders, materials, kind of not going anywhere. Industrials, energy flat. XOP is up. Healthcare is up 1%. Let's see, maybe put in order to close XLV trade. Let's see. XLV is up 80 cents. Okay, it's pretty good. So, okay, we can exit XLV. Pause. Let's see. Enter the 250. It's trading at 330, 80 cents. That's 30%, 330. All right. Any questions? terms of earnings, risk management, positions. So trying to close XLV, right? XLV also. It's trading at 330, 350 right now. So it's a, I opened it Monday, it's 80 cents, that's about 30%. So that's good trade. Let's look at Goldman Sachs. Let's see. Still negative, slightly negative. Okay. All right, let's review the rest of the positions. Let's see, did I answer all the questions? John, I answer your question. Blessed. Thank you, John. So, John, I'm out of UNH. Very good. Bob, present. Bob, gold and silver breaking through the high. Let's see, silver, gold. I think a lot of it is a dollar play, right? I mean, personally, I've been bullish on silver, right, for the past 6 months. One of my main reasons was, that the market is going to sell off. At this point, I have no idea where the market is going to sell off, right? Nobody knows, I think. So it looks like we just continue to rally. So I'm not sure about silver, right? I mean, it looks like it's losing momentum, right? It had initial rally. It's not making a lot of new highs since this initial rally. It's losing momentum. It's highly correlated to a dollar play, right? So dollar, I mean, depends what camp you're on, right? I'm still, even the biggest bears, if you watch TV, they're all kind of scratching their heads, right? Because there's really no signs of recession, and earnings are, you can see so far decent reaction, in banking sector, investment banking, energy. So far, Delta Airlines. So far, so good. So as long as the dollar below this line, I would not trade silver, right? Or I would not be overly bearish, right? You asked me, at what point will you change your opinion? At the dollar, right? The dollar is extremely important for S&P 500 stocks, right? Weaker dollar is a significant boost to the earnings, right? And that, because dollar was elevated, that was one of the main arguments for bears. And now they don't have that argument, right? Because it broke through main resistance, and there's really no support. It can drop another 2-3%. So as long as the dollar below 101, I would not be overly bearish. I would not add to bearish positions. I would not buy silver, So, if you think we're going to do this, then yes, I would buy silver. But I would wait, right? I would wait for decisive move above 101. Maybe it's going to be when the Fed announces, maybe, right? People are still talking about carry trade, right? So if Europe is going to pause and Powell is going to say, we're not pausing, well, then you'll have move like that, right? And right now there seems like already indication that for whatever reason ECB is going to pause. Not sure, because the inflation is still very high in Europe, much higher than in the United States. So we'll see. But as long as we're below 101, I would not be overly bullish on silver. I mean, that's one of the reasons I closed silver position. John, thank you. Nice. Okay. John, I put market on close. Right now I think it's trading, XLV is trading at 350? Sorry, no. 330. So it's trading at 330. Last sale was 333. So 330, 80 cents, right? 30% move in 2 days. I mean, that's part of my trading plan. Again, if you did more than one contract, maybe you close half, maybe you leave half on, right? Especially if you close UNH and you close, I think healthcare can continue going higher, right? Especially if we have a pullback. Because usually people hide in healthcare when there's, when technology is selling off. But it's facing a lot of overhead resistance at this level. But it could, it marginally broke through June high, right? Marginally. And it's above this downtrend line, broke through the downtrend line. So, next stop is 135. So, if you did two contracts, maybe you close half, especially if you don't have healthcare or you want to hedge, right? So that would be my thought process. Okay. How the earnings, spiders 40 basis, QQQ 30 basis points, are 2%, VNQ up 1%, regionals are flat. Schwab up 4%. All right. So USB down 1%, Goldman Sachs down 1%, Western Alliance 60 basis points. So regional banks, I actually thought they're going to react, going to have horrible earnings, but looks like the bar is set low and the earth is not falling apart, and the regional banks are in good shape, right? They're broke through this overhead resistance. As long as we're above 44.5, we can continue to grind higher. All right, so that's regional banks. Okay, other positions. Small cap, energy. There's a lot of energy in banks, regional banks and IWM. So far, it's continued to grind higher. It is facing a lot of overhead resistance from year-to-date high, from last August high. I think there's little room to the upside. There's more room to the downside. Earnings season just started, so I won't jump to conclusion too much. But the trade is going against me, so I'm just watching this resistance. And we're not that. We're literally 1 or 2% away from 200. So for now, small caps are very resilient, kind of an elevator up in one big move since the beginning of May. Did a catch-up trade, right, up almost 15%. For now, I'm watching the overhead resistance, which is 200. Okay, August, I still have time, at least some more clarity to earnings season. Same thing with KRE. I'm bearish on KRE, 35.45. I need to make a decision soon, maybe next week, about this breakout. I mean, it's facing March, this initial rally, right? We had a kind of a steep sell-off in regional banks in second week of March. On the news, it did bounce back. Initial bounce back was around 47.5. We're right at that point. I mean, earnings so far in regional banks are not horrible. You can see actually they're turning positive. So people are bullish on regional banks, right? The idea the bar is set low, and even if they missed a little bit, it's not a big deal. All right. So watching KRE, QQQ hedges going against me. For now, I'm not adding to QQQ. It's still in strong uptrend. There are two proposed. One is SH. It doesn't have time, right? That's the advantage of stock. You don't have to worry about time. So I'm long SH and I am long TLT. I'm long TLT. Still think that TLT is going higher. So far, it's been underperforming. That was the most popular trade in, before the year started. Everybody said that this will be the year of treasuries, but it is not. But it does have a strong support. It does have strong support that so far we're able to defend. Bulls are able to defend around 99, 100 level. And now it's fighting for the 50-day and 200-day moving averages. Okay, so those are some of the hedges. XLF, same thing. XLF, KRE, IWM, they're kind of in the same camp. We do have a breakout in XLF, right, above 34 level. We're at 35 level. So I have to make a decision. Probably this week is probably not, but next week. Next week it's August position, so I have a little bit of time, not a lot of time. I had September and August position. What is the model picking up on? Bob, I mean, the reason model is so bullish on spiders and QQQ because we broke through all the overhead resistance. Model looks at the trains on the data and makes predictions, right? And right now there's really no, I mean, it is overbought significantly, but you're not faced with any overhead resistance, right? The major overhead resistance is all-time high 480. So as long as we are above 440, we could be at 480, right? It's not that far. Another 7-8%. We've been going, it's kind of every week is a green candlestick. Right? We really didn't have any major red candlesticks since March, right? Every week we're just on and on. So, I mean, obviously it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 weeks, right? 4 or 5 months without any significant pullback. It is overbought, but model sees momentum and, you don't fight the tape and it doesn't see any overhead resistance. So that's why it's bullish. Short term and long term. I mean, obviously it sees that it's a little bit ahead of itself, right? 450. I mean, we've seen that price can overshoot, 3-4%. So it could be another 20 points. So that will take you to 470, right? So if the earnings season continues to be strong, 470 is not that, unreasonable. I mean, we're starting getting into, earnings season, and today we're going to have what? Netflix and Tesla and IBM. Right, so these are the major components for the rally. Right, so Tesla is also kind of since May, like vertical move to the upside. It is facing a lot of overhead resistance at 300 level, but it didn't have any pullbacks, right? So the question of margins, volume of sales, and that's what everybody's going to try to digest, right? Does it justify, their multiple of 90, right? Same thing with Netflix, right? Kind of a vertical move up since May of last year. It hasn't really had any pullback. So I don't know what the multiple is. Probably a lot, right? Multiple of 50, right? Other earnings justify the multiple of 50, right? They're, it's all about how much they are, what is it called? Passport sharing, right? So they're, cracking down on passport share. A lot of people are basically buying new memberships. A lot of it has been reflected in the price already. So they need to hit a home run, right? To justify 50, multiple of 90, with interest rate environment at 5%, you need to hit a home run. And Netflix and Tesla, these are the companies that can hit a home run. We'll see. So we're going to start, the earnings season is going to start getting interested this week and next, right? It will be 10% this week, and we'll get up to 35, I think, percent by end of next week. So by end of next week, we'll have, plus we're going to have FOMC decision, we'll have more clarity in terms of how much further can the rally go. Thank you, Bob. So Tesla, again, question on Tesla earnings. What is my feeling? I have a great feeling. I'm still in a bear camp, right? I still think the risk is to the downside, but I do respect, price action, right? I would not do it in this account, right? Because again, one contract is $30,000. Maybe if you have $30,000 in your account, you can do this. But Tesla is extremely volatile, right? I think it's anywhere from 10 to 15% it can move. So I'm gonna do it in my personal account. I'll probably do the same thing. I'll sell 2 calls for 1 put, because I think if they hit a home run, the price is going to go up a little bit. Not a little bit, but within the 2 times estimated move. If I don't know what their margin expectation is, 18%, but they deliver 16% on their margins because they cut the prices of their models, you can have a pretty big pullback in the market. I mean, I don't, personally, I don't, I think it'll be a muted reaction, right? It'll be a muted reaction unless their margins are at 15%, right? If they say our margins are at 15% because we're spending money on building factories in Germany and lowering prices in China and United States more aggressively, right? Then you can have a big pullback in Tesla. DBX, I mean, I closed DBX. It still continues to go higher, right? Still kind of relentlessly continues to go higher. Model picked it up, right? I mean, all charts look a lot, right? Very similar, kind of relentless vertical move since beginning of May. Now it's being fueled by Microsoft announcement yesterday, right? In the morning, I didn't know what was the announcement, but since 10 a.m., right, they basically doubled their subscription. Right, they basically said we're going to integrate with ChatGPT inside of Office 365. We used to charge $30 a month. Now we're going to charge $60 a month. And they have millions of people using Office 365. Right? I don't know what I think they said 120 million, some funny number. So obviously it's now almost $3 trillion company, right? 2.7. So it's putting more fire into the fuel of AI. Right? I don't know how many companies can double their subscription because they're gonna enter ChatGPT. I mean, I can use ChatGPT for free, but who knows? Maybe companies will be. I mean, it all depends on companies' balance sheet, right? If they have a lot of cash, paying $30 versus $60 per person may not be a problem. If they have issues with cash, they might not be justified. Maybe they'll switch to Google Docs, right, and pay zero, right, and pay $0. But Office 365, you don't really have a lot of alternatives in corporate world, right? There's very poor adoption of any other alternatives. So we'll see, right? Looks like a clean breakout, fuel into the AI rally. And DBX is one of the, DBX is similar approach. No, 6 months there's such discount on Tesla. 183. So Tesla 6 months. Let me see. Did I miss the split? Could be a split. Let's see. $183 to $61. 183. No, I don't think I missed a split. So again, these prices don't change, right? It was posted on July 1st, right? Where was July 1st Tesla? Right, so right before this. So model basically saw that it's not going to break through the overhead resistance, right? It actually thought that it's way too high, right? It does see the overhead resistance here, so it posted 261 is your overhead resistance, right? And it was pretty bearish on Tesla. Tesla proved wrong, right? Kind of the vertical move continues on. Maybe because it rolled over this, right? At the end of the June, it did roll over. It looked like momentum is changing. So models saw that, but this is a fake, it just was consolidation and rally continues. I mean, I agree that all stocks are overbought, right? It's very unusual, for 9-10 weeks of straight vertical move up. We know that elevator up usually ends with elevator down. But you just don't know on which floor you're going to exit, right? Bulls are going to exit. You could be on floor 300. You could be on floor 350. We'll find out today probably once the earnings are announced. But, Tesla has to deliver strong earnings, and I think the main point was going to be margins, right? If the margins are within what, analysts estimate, then it's going to, continue going higher or consolidate here, right? Go to some kind of consolidation, right? Something like this for a couple of weeks. It hasn't had this consolidation since beginning of the year. Maybe Microsoft will take Apple. Well, we'll see. Yeah, Apple looks like it's losing momentum. It hasn't posted new high in 4 weeks. It hasn't happened since, February, March. But, it looks like it's building top. Also earnings in 2 weeks, so we'll have more clarity on Apple as well. Carmen, I mean, model, it learns on data, it trains that data, it looks at the waves. Sometimes I can see why it makes these predictions, sometimes I cannot. I don't tweak the model based on this. It runs all stocks. It makes predictions. Some it's more accurate, some it's less accurate. So we'll see. All right. So we talked about XLF and XLV. I'm exiting out XLV today. Right. It's a nice trade, big rally up. Maybe we repeat the trade again next week. All right, any other questions? 1 second, give me 1 second. so those are, sorry about that. So those are all the positions I have. Any questions? I close Discord. Okay. Maybe. All right. Thank you, Carmen. Appreciate this. All right. Thank you, Carmen, for kind words. All right. 9:03. Let's see, where are we? Okay, so it looks like QQQ slightly higher, 20 basis higher. Spiders 40 basis higher. KRE is up 1.5% almost. UNH is up. WAB is up. And you can see regional banks are turning positive, right? Regional, WL is up 3% now. All right, any other questions? Is there an industrial catch-up trade going on? I mean, big part of DIA is Microsoft. Microsoft is actually part of Dow Jones, right? So I think I read that there's only 2 components in Dow Jones that are at 52-week high, right? Microsoft and some other stock. Majority of them are not. But nonetheless, it does contribute to the current rally, plus banks, right? Banks have moved. So Dow Jones continues to basically make 52-week highs, right? It's at year-to-date high and basically retest in April, May, March, February. Very similar setup to spiders and technology, right? They're all kind of catching up right now and staying at the same level. But major contributor is Microsoft yesterday. Skip a few steps. That elevator, I mean, it's hard to, I mean, elevator up usually same speed as elevator down, right? I think it has to be some kind of an event, right? It's very hard to predict that event, right? I used to draw parallel to 2008, right? But this is different, right? So nobody actually does these parallels anymore because they got burned. But a lot of people still think that we will have elevator down, but main reason is because interest rates is elevated. We're not going to reach 2% anytime soon, and at some point something's going to break. But at what point, what's going to break, nobody knows, right? In 2008, we never had such a strong rally since March, right? In 2008, we kind of, same thing, bear's turn collapsed in March. It was timely, right? The rally was not as significant. 13% in spiders. Now we're up like, I don't know, 18 or 17%, right? But then, we did start pulling back in June, right? We had a pretty weak June, July, and then something happened, right? Lehman collapsed in September, and then you have elevated down, right? But here you kind of traded sideways. So that was in 2008, right? We don't have 2008. We don't have major banks failing. Few regional banks fail. That happens quite often. Maybe not to that magnitude, but still fail. So the only way the elevator down, I think, is going to happen when something happens, like some kind of a black swan event. Maybe another regional banks, or few regional banks will fail. Maybe some corporate real estates, I don't know. So, but it requires an event, right? I think it requires an event, because right now, complacency is reaching extreme levels, right? Even Vlad is turning bullish, all the bears on CNBC and Bloomberg turning bullish, right? You can't find a strong bear right now. So you get caught off guard when, again, definition of black swan event, you don't know. It could happen tomorrow, it could happen in September, it could happen in December, nobody knows. But there is a high probability it will happen. When it will happen, you basically readjust, right? Maybe you turn less bullish once you need to have at least evidence of elevator down. So far, you don't have evidence of elevator keep going up, right? Where are we going to exit? Who knows? It could be 480, it could be 500. A lot of people are calling for 500, 520 by end of the year, so we'll see. Play something, a big algorithm. No, I don't think it's, the main event is no signs of recession, right? That's the main reason, no signs of recession. You're taking away arguments from there. One is recession, mild recession. It looks like there's a lot less evidence of that or probability of that. So that argument is out the door. Weaker dollar, that's a main contributor. Generative AI, main contributor. Earnings better than expected, right? And shorts are being squeezed. All the bears are capitulating, right? Vlad is capitulating. Everybody on CNBC and Bloomberg are capitulating. And they have to show performance, right? Spiders are up 20%, QQQ up 30%, and I'm up 5%. If you're an individual trader, okay, but if you're a money manager, you have to participate. So that's why money continued to pour into stock market. So it's not something being manipulated by algorithms. I think this is just the nature of the situation, right? With COVID, you're shutting down global economy, then you're restarting global economy, then you have big inflation, now you have smaller inflation, so it needs to find some kind of equilibrium. Beck Spencer also wasn't trying to create the down newsletter which morphed into the index. His name did not sound good. No, thank you, Bob. That's an interesting piece of history on Dow Jones. SQQQ algorithm for October is way up. Thank you, Carmen. Yeah, I think it's, for the most part, I think it's some kind of a black swan event. Or earnings gonna fail, but so far I don't see any signs of, we already have banks, regional banks, investment banks. We now have energy names, right? It looks like they're fine. We're gonna start having technology, Tesla, Netflix. I assume their earnings are gonna be decent, right? They're not gonna fall apart. So if it's not earnings and it's not Fed, then I'm not sure what's gonna stop this bull market. Makes gold, Carmen. Honestly, I don't, we don't know that the market is going to, the market will go down. We do know that. We just don't know when. Right? So I'm personally waiting for at least some signs of at least 2 weeks of red candlesticks, maybe a little bit bigger than we had in May. Right? Something like this. right? When you have week 1, week 2, okay, we can give up maybe 20 points, but at least 5% in 2. If we drop 5% in 2 weeks, I'm going to say, okay, maybe we are starting the elevator down. But until we have at least 2 weeks of red candlesticks, it's just higher highs, higher lows. You can see, right, USB, Western lines that were down in the beginning, and now bulls are stepping in and just continue to buy these stocks. So, and same thing with Delta Airline. Right? Delta Airline looked like rolled over, and now it's back, resuming its upward momentum. So, bull, even if you don't have a home run, as long as you don't have a dismal earnings, people are stepping in and continue to buy. All right. Thank you, Carmen. All right, 9:15. Any questions? So I think earnings season, right? It's all about earnings season. FOMC next week. Tesla and Netflix are today after the close. We'll do research and watch for Earnings Power Trader. You can get SMS messages under Earnings Power Trader or under Elite. You can get SMS message. I'll do my research on estimated move analysis for all the stocks that are announcing earnings. If I find something within $100 that's liquid, then I will trade it. All right. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bob, Hollywood, Florida. All right. That's my neighborhood. I know where Hollywood, Florida is. All right. Enjoy the beach. Thank you, guys. Take care. Take care, guys. Thank you.